Welcome back. I've had a lot of people that come up to me asking about how to do rinseless, and I've gotten a lot of feedback on it. So there's a couple things that I wanted to point out. One, D114 is no longer made, so I had to find a replacement. I found two. One that came out at SEMA this year, or this past year, and then the other one's been out for a little while. The first one is Wolfgang Uber Rinseless. It's pretty cheap, and it works really well. I have no complaints with it at all. It could be better, and the could be better I would be comparing it against is the Echo 2. Now, CarPro Echo 2 is expensive in comparison to other rinselesses, but one $25 bottle, I guess, would wash like 20 or 30 times, so it's still cheap per car, but if you're doing it in volume, it's not exactly cost effective compared to something else. Great for daily vehicles. I would lean towards the Wolfgang for a detailer that's going to be doing it really often. This one is a lot more, or it has a lot more lubricity, and then also it was like designed for coating, so it has a little less SiO2 in it, so it's really good for coated vehicles. I would highly encourage somebody who is doing a personal vehicle to use this. Two other products that I have, I've always talked about Reload. Big fan of Reload. IGL Premier is another one that I would strongly recommend. Premier is about twice the cost of Reload, but it has mild fillers in it, and it is very nice to work with. This one does a little bit better in lower humidity from what I've found, but I really like Premier. It just, when you get done, it looks just phenomenal. Both of them are great products. I highly recommend both of them. Last two things is one, I got different towels that I'm using now. They're kind of like the Eagle Edgeless that you'll find from Towel Pros, or the Rag Company. I'm sorry, the Rag Company. This one is by Towel Pros. It's their Euro Blue Edgeless towel. It's $2 a towel, pretty cheap. They absorb water like a sponge. They are phenomenal. I find I can get a lot of vehicle coverage off of just one towel. They just eat up dirt. It's pretty cool. And then the same company, Towel Pros, they also have a waffle weave towel. It's $5, pretty cheap for a waffle weave. It is pretty decent size, as you can see. Works very well. I've got many washes on these towels, and they work great. One of the biggest things that I have found with doing the washing, I had one of my clients come up to me and say, I'm getting marring when I'm doing my washing. All right, let's look through how you're doing your steps. And his washing technique was great. What was happening is he'd go to dry, and he would go across it, and then he would continue to go across it until he started marring the paint until it was perfectly dry. And what I found is when you go across it, you'll dry, and you'll leave these little tiny bubbles or water droplets left. That's fine. They usually will dry, and you won't see them at all. So just take and when you're drying, get the big bubbles off or the big droplets off, and then leave those tiny ones, and you'll be less likely to mar your paint. So one of the things that I had talked about in a previous video is if it's really dirty, you need to pressure wash it off first. So this is my wife's vehicle. She drove down a dirt road. It is really dirty. So I'm going to walk you through a couple other things that I found when washing. Alright, so one of the things I found is when you're doing your pre-spray, these garden sprayers for $7-8 from Home Depot work very well. I'll show you that after I get done pressure washing. So we'll start off by pressure washing off the layers of dirt that are on this thing. one tip before I start. If you're in a cold weather climate like I am here in North Dakota, my garage is maybe 45, 50 degrees right now. It is heated, I just haven't turned it all the way up. Whenever the heater's on, you can't hear anything. Can't hear anything if I had a video, or if I was recording a video. I put a fish tank heater in my bucket. It keeps the water 70, 80 degrees, so when you're washing, your hands aren't freezing. Just something that might work. Yes, there are bucket heaters you can put in there. They'll raise it to 120, 130 degrees. Fish tank heater was something I had laying around. I used to have a saltwater reef tank in my house. I actually just tore it down a couple months ago. And so I was like, well, hey, it wasn't used as a new heater. Throw it in, make good use of it. So something for you cold weather guys, maybe something to look at. So going back to this, you just pump it up. It's easier to do on the ground. I already pre-charged it. But once you get it pumped up and pressurized, just go ahead and apply. Start at the top and work your way down. You can see how this would be a lot faster. I'm going to stop right there, but normally you would do the entire vehicle. I'm going to stop there so that way we can get on with the video. So just like before, you're going to take a towel, wring out the excess, but it's still sopping wet. I don't know if you can see any of those drips coming down, but in half, and then half again, nice panels, and then you're just going to start at the top and work your way down. As you're going, you want to roll across that edge because that front leading edge is what's going to catch the dirt. Now as you can see, there's not a lot of dirt on here, most of it got pressure washed off. You're going to start, and as that front leading edge comes in contact with dirt, you're just going to roll it back. Okay, and then as you're getting dirt on your rag, go ahead and flip it to another side. Again, here you can kind of see some of that dirt. So we went through two sides, one side, two side. Go ahead and flip to a new blue side. I wouldn't complain, or I like to sometimes do the same panel I already did, just to be certain that I got everything. So when I flip to a new towel, okay, so here's my new side. Even though I already know I did this panel, a lot of times, especially if it's dirty, I'll just kind of run it over real quick, make sure it's good. You're not using any pressure. You're letting the rag or the towel do the work. Over here. Once you have those four sides nice and dirty, flip them inside out and go again. Again, start at the top, work your way down, and roll as you need to. Now, some of you may notice that when I do it, I actually break it up in half again, because I'll roll this side, and then I'll flip around, put the dirty part over here, and then roll again on this side. It just works easier for me. Again, here you can kind of see how dirty that is. We'll get the last panel and then I'll show you drying. Alright, after all these are done, toss it into a dirty towel bin. Go ahead and grab your drying towel. Throw a spray, or maybe two. There it goes. There it comes. A spray or two on your towel, and that acts as a drying aid. And again, just start at the top and work your way down. If you see it kind of stop absorbing, don't be afraid to flip to a new side. Throw on another spray or two and press. Again, being very gentle with this. Lastly, go ahead and take a look at this. You can see right here, there's a little bit of water. There's one spot there. But this stuff will mostly dry. If you find that it hasn't completely dried, you can go back and hit it with a towel once more. But just let it dry on its own. It's, like I said, it's cold right now. So if it doesn't dry all the way, come back, touch it up with a damp towel. Usually put a little bit of Premier on there. It'll take all that spotting right off. Usually it's not even necessary. When it's colder, it's more slow to dry. You're more likely to have to go back and touch it up. It's cold. I don't know if you can see my breath, but it's chilly in here. If you have any questions, comment on the bottom, send me a message, any of the above.